Multimedia teguh mendukung harapan agung negara, penyahu seruan wawasan negara, unggul di mata dunia. Langkah seiring mengejar cita di hari muka, kan terus maju bersama menuju cahaya ketulusan jiwa, semangat berusaha, unggul di mata dunia. Ke puncak menara dituju, keunggulan cita yang luhur, melangkah kita bersama, bersatu, bersinar permata negara, dikagumi serata dunia, selamanya dan gemilang di persada dunia multimedia. Langkah seiring mengejar cita di hari muka, kan terus maju bersama menuju cahaya ketulusan jiwa, semangat berusaha, unggul di mata dunia. Ke puncak menara dituju, keunggulan cita yang luhur, melangkah kita bersama, bersatu, bersinar permata negara, dikagumi serata dunia, selamanya dan gemilang di persada dunia multimedia. Terunggu di mata dunia.
Welcome to today's talk. Cases of domestic violence are on the rise and have quickly become a social endemic.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Shafika and I will be your host for today. I would like to welcome you all to today's talk entitled Ask a Lawyer, Parenting Child Sexual Abuse. It is a pleasure to have you all joining us today. For your information, this talk will be streamed live on MMU Malaysia YouTube channel and Multimedia University Facebook page. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, tag, and share the Facebook Live with your friends and family. Now, I would like to introduce our stunning speaker for today, Dr. Nitya Tiahan. She had completed her primary education at SK Bandar Tenggara, Johor. She then completed her secondary education at SMK Tinggi Keluang, Johor, and SMK Bandar Tenggara, Johor. She then completed her bachelor's in law from MMU class of 2009 and was later admitted to the Malaysian bar in July 2010. And had become a member of the Selangor State Bar ever since. Dr. Nitya has been practicing law for 12 years. Her areas of expertise consist of conveyancing, family dispute, divorce, child custody, child sexual abuse, and corporate dispute consultant. She is also founded the Child Guard Malaysia Volunteer Movement. I give to you, Dr. Nitya.
Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Hope everyone stays safe. All right. Hi Shafika, nice to meet you again.
Yeah, it's been quite some time. Okay, so for our topic for today, Dr.
Yeah.
Nitya, is child sexual abuse. So, in terms of awareness, can you enlighten us on how you get yourself involved in fighting against sexual abuse in Malaysia?
All right. Initially, I started a Child Guard Malaysia volunteer movement. Okay, in 2017, to fight against child sexual abuse cases that's happening, in our nation. All right. So my objective is to spread awareness to children, parents, and public about child sexual abuse, mainly to interact with the children to speak out, about what's happening to them. For example, this child sexual abuse might be happening to them all this while, so they have no idea, they had no one to share. Finally, when we spread this awareness, when I do this talk program and everything, so they feel finally I have somebody to share, because I openly talk to them about child sexual abuse, which no one else would have spoken to them before. So my goal here is actually not to reduce the number of child sexual abuse cases, but to eventually stop from happening and prolonging.
Wow, that's a very great goal to have, Dr. Nitya. So, do you educate kids and students on sexual violence issues? Like, what has been your contribution by far?
Yeah. In 2019 itself, meaning right before this MCO have started in March 2020, I've conducted talks in total 32 schools just in 1 year around Malaysia. All right. Each school that I go, I would educate the kids and the mothers, the parents, the teachers, about child sexual abuse, what are the types of abuse are there, because most of the people, they know when it comes to child sexual abuse, they only know about molestation and also rape, but actually there are so many other types also that consider as child sexual abuse. All right. By providing them each of the awareness program, I will provide them the knowledge and also the training, for example, what to do whenever they encounter such abuse. All right. Every time my awareness program, right, it leads to a great result where at least one or two children would come and open up to me, that such abusive incidents, that have been happening to them or happened to them before, that they have remained silent all this while. So that's how actually I educate about child sexual abuse to public.
I see. So, can you please enlighten us today on what is actually categorized as child sexual abuse and what are the types of abuse?
All right. Like I mentioned earlier, mostly people would say child sexual abuse is only about molest and also rape. Okay, let me highlight to you what are the types that we have. Okay, child sexual abuse is a form of abuse in which adult uses a child for sex stimulation. Okay, let's see types of sexual abuse. When the abuser touches the child sexually, okay, number one, and then child is forced to touch the abuser. For this, meaning the abuser will never touch the child, but he or she will somehow trigger the child or force the child to touch them. There's a difference. Okay. And then third one, forcing the child to watch pornography, that is also a sexual abuse. All right. So meaning here, the abuser will never touch the child and the child never touches the abuser, but he or she will force the child to watch child pornography. It is also an abuse. All right. And another way is maybe watching the child undress, or while the child in shower, exposing himself or herself to a child. All right. Meaning they will undress in front of the child. Okay. The last one, of course, rape, where they perform sexual acts to the child. So these are the categories of sexual abuses that that's happening. So whenever this kind of any one of the act happen to a child, it is amount to sexual abuse. Yeah.
So, based on your evaluations throughout the years, how aware are Malaysian students on the matters pertaining to rape and sexual assault?
All right. In my experience, I would say most of the students in Malaysia are not aware or provided with proper sex education, okay, to prepare them to identify sexual assault, since this subject is still taboo in our society. Okay, we had previously a major issue in our country whether to bring in sex education in our system or not. Okay. So it is still in discussion and it's still not implemented yet. Okay, I find it that is the real issue here. Okay, that is why thank God, people like me or some other NGOs or some other volunteers, they are still giving some sort of sex education to the kids. All right. So this is where like I educate the students in school, in not only school, even higher institutions. Okay, even college students, university students also have no idea about sexual abuse and what is happening in our country and how serious is this issue. Okay. So likewise, as I mentioned earlier, upon the end of the talk, okay, my target, my goal, each time I educate the kids will be like at least one or two kids come up to me, approach me, to speak to me about their experience, about what's happening. We wouldn't know, maybe sexual abuse might be happening right now, I mean at their home now, you know so when they see me, when they meet me, when I talk about sex education, like sexual abuse and everything, so they will finally come to me personally and they open up. Okay, then it will be easy for us to take action or advise the kid or the parents or the mother especially what to do next. Okay, so yeah, that's about the education, the lacking of sex education in our system.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nidya, for that. We shall have a short commercial break and we shall come back after this.
Wonder how fast intelligent machines run on 5G? At MMU, you'll find the answer. Wonder how creative content and online businesses are mastered? At MMU, you'll find the answer. Wonder how cybersecurity and law function? At MMU, you'll find the answer. Find out all these and many more at Multimedia University, because MMU is you, leading the digital future. Visit mmu.edu.my.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nitya, for enlightening us in terms of awareness. What had been done and what could be done better in terms of child sexual abuse. Now, we shall continue with the next section, which is call to action. In terms of finding ways for a victim to search for help. So, for an example, if I've experienced sexual abuse, where can I go for help?
All right, okay, that's a very good question. Okay, that's what mainly we are educating. Okay, that we should educate the kids. Okay, it's not only about children, it's about youngsters, teenagers, college or university students. Throughout the whole education process, we must have this education or awareness at least for them. All right. So when a child, so when we speak about child, right, in legal term, 16 and below is considered a child. All right. So whenever a child experience child sexual abuse, first thing, of course, reach out for help. Like reach out for help in sense like the closest person, someone they really trust, like their mother. Of course, the first person that they will turn out to is their mother. If the mother is not there, or maybe they can speak to the aunt or neighbor, or someone that they really trust. Okay. And at home also they must educate and teach their kids not to keep secrets. If anything happens outside or even inside a house, they should never keep secrets. Okay, that's the main thing that a mother should teach the kid. Okay, so let's say anything sexual abuse happens to a child. There are few options for the victims can get help from. So maybe with the assistance of an adult. The most common option here is of course PDRM. Okay, they can lodge a police report. Okay, and again my advice will be, please lodge a report within 24 hours of the incident. Okay, because if let's say you report after 24 hours or even later after few months, or I have came across cases where they they feel they want to report after 3 years. So the time period here, the longer you take to make a report, it will actually weaken your case. Okay, because why what we need to prove in sexual abuse is the evidences. All right, so the best timing for you to go and report is within 24 hours. Okay, and also the victims or the mothers, the adults who are assisting the victim, they can contact our Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development 24 hours hotline, Talian Kasih. Okay, this Talian Kasih is available for women, all sorts of domestic violence or anything, depression or anything, and also for child abuse, any sort of abuses, they can reach out to Talian Kasih 15999. Okay, and if beyond that they can get assistance from NGOs. I'm sure each state they have so many NGOs. You have particular NGO at your place, so you can at least reach out to them. So somehow, whenever you experience sexual abuse, or your child or any child that reach out for help. There are so many helps out there.
Okay, one of the main concern for victims is that they don't want to report it because they feel that their identity might be compromised. They feel that it will bring shame to themselves if they do the report. So the question then arises is that can they actually do report anonymously?
No, they can't. Okay, you can't, because as the complainant's full details are required by the PDRM for the investigation purpose. Because this is to avoid any misinformation or any false report, being made against any individual on personal vengeance. So this is why any report you lodge to police, your identity, meaning your full information, is much needed. But okay, when it comes to a child below 16 years old, the news will come in the online or newspaper or something, but the identity of the victim they should never reveal. Okay, there is a law where prohibits the media from exposing the victim's details, particulars. All right.
Yeah, even in terms, as far as I know, even in terms of child cases in court, is considered not if it involves a child, it will never be an open court case. Therefore, like
Correct.
outsiders cannot come in and simply just watch the proceedings going on. So if let's say something happened to me and I think I've been raped, how do I know? What do I do? What are my steps from then onwards?
Okay, that's a very, very good question and very important question. Okay, people may think like they might not take seriously about this when we talk now until the incident happens to them. So better they aware, better they know in advance what to do if such thing happens to them in future, maybe tomorrow or the next day. We never know. Okay, but it is advisable for you to know what are the precautions to take, the prevention methods in case once happen, what to do next, to avoid all the unnecessary issues later on. So if you ever sexually assaulted and think it was a rape, okay, immediately you bring yourself to any government hospital. Okay, it can be either government hospital or private hospital, doesn't matter, because there will be always a medical officer at the emergency room there to assist rape victims. Okay, and once you before anything, right, please do not clean yourself or your child. Okay, so maybe this live session, maybe parents will be watching it now. So my
Yeah.
advice will be, anything happens to your child, if you suspect your child been raped or sexually assaulted, please do not clean your child. Okay, do not shower them. I know you will feel disgusted, you feel dirty, but do not wash yourself, because that is the most crucial part of rape case. So, like I mentioned earlier, the medical officer will do the checkup. They have this rape kit and all that standby in the office, and okay, this will temper the evidence, and the medical officer in duty will collect all the DNAs, which will support as evidence when police report, been made for investigation later on. Like for example, the DNA might be, it's not necessarily only the semen, only the, so it might be like from your nail, or maybe the abuser's hair on you. It could be just anything. That is why it is not advisable to clean yourself. All right? Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. Let's say if I decide to do a report, will there be an investigation, and who initiates the investigation?
Okay. Let me tell you a reality here. Okay, the practical issues here, where so many people ask me this question. Whenever it comes to police report, it's just a speed breaker for them. I don't understand why is it so difficult for people to go and lodge police report when something against the law happened to them. Okay, so and police, they have there is a standard operation procedure. Okay, they have their own SOP. Whenever there is a report being made by the victim, or somebody who bring the child along to lodge the report. Okay, and then the investigation officer, okay, we call them IO, will proceed with the investigation by collecting evidences, victim and witness statements. All right, like evidences, like just now I mentioned about the DNA, whatever that been collected by the medical officer is actually will be the evidence. And then they will call the victim. Okay, since it's a child, they will have a very private session. Okay, They will they will take all the statements, and they might even call the child like twice if it is necessary, because they want to know whether the story is actually, differs, because the child will be in trauma. Sometimes the first time they give the statement, it might not be accurate. Until they really calm down, they can recall back what actually happened. So if needed, they will call twice or even third time, you know. So, and then if there is any witness available, they will call for statements and all this. Then the whole report the IO will compile, and then they will submit to the public prosecutor to proceed the case in the court. Okay, that's how the case. That's the SOP of the investigation, and for child sexual abuse.
Okay. How long does it usually takes from the process of the victim going to the hospital and then going to the police station and then up until the case, let's say, being brought to court? Like how long will that be?
Okay, this is also very common question where normally public will ask me. Okay, uh, it varies from case to case basis. All right, like for example, if the case reported within 24 hours, they could actually get all the evidences, and they somehow the child, the victim can identify like someone that well known to the victim, then the arresting everything will be very fast. But in case the report made after 3 months, after 3 years, so by the time they get the statements, the witnesses, the evidences, and all this, it may take longer. So yeah, it depends how strong the evidences and statements of each case. Okay, we can't say it definitely can finish up in 1 month. No, it will take 3 months. No, it depends the whole investigation process.
But from your experience handling all these child sexual abuse cases, what is the longest period between the event taken place and actually the child opening up that the child experienced it? From your experience, what is the longest time frame that you've
The
been?
longest meaning when the sexual assault happened and
Yes,
until finally the child open up.
yes, yes.
In my experience, my personal experience, there was a case where after 5 years.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
very
when,
long.
when the incident was happened, when the child was 11 years old, and I was doing this awareness program in that particular school, secondary school, and she was 16 at that time. So already 5 years. So finally, she opened up to me and she asked me what to do and everything. So first thing I said, call your parents. Okay, let me talk to your parents, let me convince them to actually, but it's never too late. Okay, there is no such thing, no, after this many years you cannot lodge report. No, you can report anytime. All
Okay.
right, so it's just that I need to convince the parents, like how to do the process, how to do the report and everything. I will guide them throughout the process.
Was the parents shocked to hear that their child actually experienced that and never opened up to them as parents?
Yes, yes, definitely. Because, I mean, you are the parents, of your children. So you should have provided a safe environment or comfortable environment for your child to open up or to speak to you. But instead, in reality, what is happening, if let's say any child, once we educate the kids, right, at the school about good touch, bad touch, where someone can touch you, where someone cannot touch you, and all that. So when something like that happen, so when the child goes to the mother, especially we will educate the kids to go to the mother first, or any woman that they can reach. So what's happening in reality, the mother actually doesn't believe the child, or end up will be scolding the child.
Yeah, that's what usually happens.
That's the most common reaction of a
Yeah.
mother. Okay, so my advice will be, please believe your child, because I don't think so there's any child would ever lie on this issue,
True.
you know.
Yeah, it is a very serious thing, but often, being brought up in Malaysia, we have Asian parents and they don't usually believe these kind of things when we actually tell them what's wrong with us, what's going on. So, yeah. Okay, moving on to the next section, which is post trauma. Like, what kind of education and training is provided by the foundation for kids and students?
Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of awareness programs. All right. And just not me. Okay. I wish, I hope other NGOs or other people, public, you could be anyone. Not necessary you must be the victim for you to do this program or awareness. Just educate yourself, get your knowledge, get your information, everything in hand, and you yourself can go and spread awareness. Start small from your area, your school, or your taman, maybe your kampung. It could be your university or your workplace. Just start small. Then you will grow and grow, and then the more victims will actually come and join hands with you, so you can grow bigger. So that's what I'm requesting to everyone, to public. So just don't just hope one person to voice up, or don't just hope one minister to handle all this issue. We as a public, we have great responsibilities also. All right.
All right. So in terms of counseling sessions, like for these victims, do they actually have counseling sessions? And if they actually do have these sessions, how effective is these counseling sessions in terms of helping them to overcome the trauma from the experience?
Yes. Okay. So earlier we spoke about prevention, educating the kids. Lodge police report, the police procedure, court procedure, and everything, right? So, what happened to the victim? Most of the cases, if you see, right, they want the abuser to be punished. Yes, of course, but on the other hand, we have to see, we have to concern about the child's, mental state as well. He or she will be severely in trauma, okay, in severe pain, mentally, physically. So there must be something, we need to provide them something for them to move on with their life, okay, for them to come out from the trauma. So the only thing can be done is counseling, through counseling. And it's, we are not talking about just one session. It must be like a few sessions until the child, you have the confidence that the child actually can be normal back. And this counseling session, you or me, or not just some random people can do it. Okay, we need specialists. Okay, that is why we have child psychiatrists. Okay, we let the specialists to handle the child. Okay, because they have their SOPs. They are the experts, they know how to handle a child. Okay, actually there are numerous counseling services available in our country, by child psychiatrists, be it in government hospitals and also private hospitals. Yeah, again, the number of sessions of counseling depends on each child's physical and mental state. There are so many counseling sessions available. It's just that we need to go and look for it.
Okay. So, in your opinion, does time really heal, especially for rape victims? Because we usually hear this a lot, but for the people who actually experience that such traumatic event from their life, will they be able to at one point overcome it and just let go of the experience in their life?
Definitely, I am 100% sure that at one point they will move on, okay, they will come out from the trauma, okay. Being a victim myself, okay, it took me a lot of time and effort, to heal, but it is possible, all right, and may have a great result with right guidance, okay, especially with great support from own family members, okay. Own family member support is really really important and crucial here, okay. Even though we let the specialist, the expert to handle our child, but without the family members support, it will be very difficult and it will be very long process, okay. But once, let's say you are one of the victim, right, do not use that as an excuse for you to to be down or sad, for you not to move on in life, but instead use the bad things happen in your life, change it into a great thing, okay, like how I am doing it now, like when the thing happened to myself, but I never give up in life, okay. I use the education as a tool for me to voice out, okay. That was also one of the reason why I became a lawyer, okay, so that I know the law, I know the process, I will educate myself, so that I can guide other victims. All right. So there are so many real life heroes, real life victims who actually doing great things now. Okay. We just need to find out, pick them, and we need to join hands together, and we must be the voice for the voiceless, especially when it comes to children. Okay, we are talking about children, like small kids here. So if we don't voice out for them, like who else?
Yeah, okay. So thank you, Dr. Nitya, on that. Now, I have a few questions from the floor that I will be asking. So there's a question whereby, does the pedophilia symptom is one of the example of child abuse?
All right. Being pedophile, right? The pedophile. There is a research saying the pedophiles actually they are normal people. Okay, we usually people will say the pedophiles will be like mentally unstable. They may be like a psycho, mentally sick. This kind of things. People will come up, but no, they are very very normal person like you and me. You know, it's just that they have this desire, or they have this thing where they feel satisfied by looking at the child, without dress or performing any sort of sexual, acts on a child compared to adult. Like for example, let me tell you, if you let a woman adult, walk with no dress, and you let a child fully dressed, these pedophiles will actually stimulated by aroused by looking at the child. So that is their preference, I would say. So once, let's say they have been exposed or they have been abused when they were small, not necessary they will actually become a pedophile when they grow. It's not necessary such way. Maybe not all the pedophiles are actually abused when they were kid, you know so it depends the way they grow, the environment, what they have been exposed. There are so many reasons behind it.
I see. Okay. So are there any ways to detect the predators?
Okay, we can, but let me tell you something. Let me share you something that might shock you and everyone. Okay, whoever watching this live. When it comes to child sexual abuse, right? We are talking about below 16 years old. 90%, according to the studies, 90% of the abuser, okay, the predator, actually someone that well known by the child. someone that very close with the child. Okay, in my experience, the cases that I've came across or I've handled, most of the cases are by own fathers, you know, own grandfathers, own brothers. I'm sure you have seen the slides just now, the real news. Uh, Uncles, like teachers. They are those who very close with our child. We always, as a parent, we always think, we always teach our kid, don't be close with stranger, be careful of strangers. But no, the abuser or the predator might be in our own home.
Yeah.
Okay, how to identify them? It's just watch them closely, or just don't let your child be alone with anyone, literally anyone. Because I have handled one case where a 5 years old child, she was molested by own father while he was bathing the child. 5 years old, it's very common for a father,
Yeah.
take the child to a shower and all this. So the father been doing this sexual assault, at that moment. So yeah, these kind of things might happen. So every each one of us must bear in mind, or question ourselves, whether this thing is happening in my house. That's enough. You don't need to go around nation, look after everyone. You just look after your own home. Make sure it's safe for your own children.
All right. So next question is how to teach children to be aware of sexual abuse or grooming.
All right. Okay. First thing, when it comes to grooming, right? It's about when the abuser actually uses a nice words. They will pour the kid with gifts. They care and love. Okay. The moment the child feels they getting the care and attention, especially attention. I'm sure all of you agree that children like attention, right?
Yes, very
So
much.
yes, so the moment the parents are busy with work, with so many things, okay, I'm not blaming them, but this is when the abuser will take advantage of this situation. Okay, he will come up with all the promises, will gifts and everything. So the child will actually, be close with the person and all this. So it will be very easy for the person to take advantage or sexually assault, sexually abuse the child. All right.
So, like how to teach abusers to be less aggressive and be more open-minded so that they don't abuse. Like what can you say to the abusers, basically?
Okay, here again and again, I'm telling you, if uh, to both the victims and also the abusers, I will go back to the square to parents and community here. Okay, so since small, right? I'm sure all of us been taught by our parents. There will be a little bit difference. Okay, some home will be much different. Some houses will be a bit different. The way they raise their girls and the boys. Okay, I'm sure actually there are a lot more differences. Okay,
Yeah.
like girls, after 6, no, you cannot go out from the house.
Yes.
Okay, boys, before 10, you have to come back. So there are so much of differences, the way we raise girls and boys. Like for example, even we will teach our girls the way they have to dress, the way they have to sit on a chair and everything. Okay, these are the very common things. But my question here, have any of the parents taught their boys how to treat a girl? How you should not look at a girl? Meaning, from small, right, the parents should educate the boys. Okay? Like, you just have to keep, you don't need to remind them every single day. It's just maybe like once a month. Just put the information to them. Okay, you must respect girls. Okay, you must really you should not objectifying a girl, you know. So what is happening here, most of the boys here, they are just looking at girls as sex object. That is very, very sad. Okay, so I feel we as a parents, society, you know, our community, we have a greater responsibilities here where we must educate our boys, teach our boys how to see girls, how to treat girls and women, and how they should not harm you know, anyone. You know, these are the things that we need to educate them from scratch.
Okay, so which one is more common? Do you think boys or girls being abused?
Okay, those days it was common when we say girls. Okay, most of the victims will be girls, or almost 100% people will talk only about girls being raped, girls being sexually abused, and we had so much of programs and advertisements and so many things. Girls, 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 girls. Okay, but let me tell you, in my experience, even in recent studies and all this, it is almost equal, where the boys also being the victim. Okay, let it be sodomized, you know, or any sort of sexual abuse. Okay, it is almost equal. So it is time for us to change the way we think, the change the way we see things, you know, and also change the way we teach our children from home. All right.
All right. So our last question for today is what type of protection in the authorities that might help victims from abusers?
Okay. Okay. What types of you know, it meaning for prevention, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There are so many. Okay. It's just that first thing, like I mentioned earlier, we have to go and look for what are the options we have. You know, what are the types of safety measurements or awareness or anything that provided by our government. You know, our government and our ministry, they have provided, there are so many types of programs, you know, and trainings for parents, for children. You know, there are so many, but it just maybe it's just not reaching out to people. Okay, so that is why we need so many NGOs, so many you know, leaders, maybe influencers, you know, nowadays. So influencers on social media is not only about, you know, selling your things or whatever. It is not only about posting whatever you are doing every day. You must utilize it, you know, or yourself claiming as an influencer. Do something for you to change the society for a betterment. You know, you have a great responsibility for that.
Okay, Dr. Nitya, any last words before you wrap up today's session?
Yeah, okay. I understand now it's MCO, you know, still lockdown. Most of us still at home. It will be very difficult for us, you know, to address this issue and everything. Let's hope for the schools to reopen again, you know. So once school open, let's parents and teachers, we join hand together with our government. Let's fight to introduce sex education in our school. Okay, that is something that I personally fighting for. Okay, this is sex education. A lot of people misunderstood about sex education. It is not about teaching sex to our kids. Literally, it's not. It is about having sex in a very protective way, you know, or maybe how to prevent unnecessary problems in future. So these are all the safety measurement. That is why we desperately need a sex education in our country.
Okay, with that, I thank Dr. Nitya for today's session. So, as we know that child sexual abuse exists around us, even though it is a topic that is rarely talked about. And my experience I used to be a debater in high school. So the topic of this house will allow sex education, this house will not allow sex education, has been very, very widely spoken between debaters, high school debaters mostly during my time. And for me, that thing has been going on for years and years. So, like, what's the actual movements that the government's going to do? Is the government is going to keep on ignoring and ignoring and ignoring stuff? While how is it possible that you guys can allow underage marriage and etc. But by not even giving the child actual proper education on sex or sexual abuse itself, how can you guys allow marriage but not even in a deeper context of knowledge, just for the sake of knowledge? So for me, Malaysians need to break through the taboo and be more open to speak up about all these issues that is not imaginary or just fantasy. It's actually a reality and we need to address it. And with that, I thank Dr. Nitya again, and everyone, I wish you guys to have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Multimedia University, because MMU is you, leading the digital future. Visit mmu.edu.my.